The Magic Faraway Tree by Enid Blyton. Chapter 4. The Land of Spells. Rick went round and round down inside the faraway tree on his cushion. He came to the bottom. He shot out the trapdoor there and landed on the soft green moss. He sat there for a moment, quite out of breath. That's the loveliest slide I've ever had, he thought to himself. Wouldn't I like to do that again? He just got up from the moss when the trapdoor at the bottom of the tree opened once again and Franny shot out on a yellow cushion. Then came Beth, giggling, for she always thought it was such a huge joke to slide down inside the tree like that. "What do we do with the cushions?" asked Rick. "Does Moonface want them back?" Yes, he does, said Franny, picking them up. The red squirrel always collects them and sends them back to him. As she spoke, a red squirrel, dressed in a sweater, popped out of a hole in the trunk. "Here are the cushions," said Franny, and the red squirrel took them. He looked up into the tree and a rope came swinging down. "Moonface always lets it down for his cushions," said Beth. Rick watched the squirrel tie the 3 cushions to the end of the rope. Then he gave 3 gentle tugs at the top of the rope, and at once the rope was pulled up, and the cushions went swinging up the tree to Moonface. "I wish Joe was with us," said Rick as they all went home. "Do you think Aunt Polly will be worried about him?" Well, I'll have to tell Mother the truth," said Franny. "She is sure to ask where he is." Mother did ask, of course, and the girls told her what had happened. "I find this all very, very difficult to believe," said Mother, astonished. "I think Joe is just spending the night with Moonface for a treat. I'll trust Moonface to take care of him tonight, but he must come back tomorrow. Is that clear? I really can't believe a single word." Nobody said any more. The girls and Rick felt very, very tired, and after some hot chocolate and baked potatoes for dinner, they all went to bed. Beth wondered how Joe was getting on at Moonface's. He was getting on all right, though he was very tired of being upside down. It didn't matter how hard he tried to stand the right way up, he always swung topsy-turvy again. The policeman had put a very strong spell on him. "Well, you better try to sleep in my bed," said Moonface. "I'll sleep on my sofa." "I suppose I'll have to stand on my head all night," said poor Joe. And that's just what he did have to do. It was very uncomfortable. Once he lost his balance when he was asleep and tipped off the bed. He almost fell down the slippery slip, but Moonface, who was awake, reached out a hand and caught his leg just in time. "My goodness," said Moonface, "don't go doing things like that in the middle of the night, Joe. It's so disturbing." "Well, how can I help it?" said Joe. "Well, I'll tie your feet to a nail on my wall," said Moonface. "Then you can't topple over when you're asleep." So he did that, and Joe didn't fall down any more. When morning came, he was surprised to find himself upside down because, at first he didn't remember what had happened. "I'll just peep up through the hole in the cloud and see if by any chance the Land of Spells is there yet," said Moonface. "If it is, we'll go up and see what we can do for you." So off he went, up the little ladder, and popped his head out of the hole in the cloud to see if the land of Topsy-Turvy was still there or if it had gone. There was nothing there at all, only the big white cloud moving about like a thick mist. Moonface slipped down the ladder again. "Well, Topsy-Turvy has gone, but the next land hasn't come yet," he said. "We'll have breakfast and then I'll look again. Hello? Oh, there's Silky. Stay here and have breakfast, Silky dear."
I came up to see how Joe was," said Silky. "Yes, I'd love to have breakfast. It is funny to watch Joe eating upside down. Hasn't the Land of Spells come yet?"
"Not yet," said Moonface, putting a kettle on the stove to boil. "There's nothing there at all, but Topsy-Turvy is gone, thank goodness." They all had breakfast. Moonface cooked some porridge. What do you want on your porridge?" he asked Joe. "Do you want, let me see, syrup, sugar, cream?" Joe couldn't see any syrup, sugar or cream on the table, so it puzzled him. Syrup, he said. Please, Moonface, if that's okay. Moonface handed him a small jug that seemed to be quite empty. Syrup, he said to the jug in a firm voice, and suddenly syrup came pouring out as soon as Joe tipped up the jug. Well, I never. Silky wanted cream, and cream came out when Moonface said cream to the jug. It was such great fun. Moonface went again then to see if the Land of Spells had come. This time he came back excited. It's there, he said. Come on, I'd better take some money with me, I think, in case we have to buy the spell we want. He took a small bag down from a shelf, and then he and Silky helped Joe to walk upside down up the branch that led through the hole in the cloud to the little ladder. Up he went with great difficulty, holding on tightly to the rungs of the ladder with his hands. And at last, he was up in the Land of Spells. Now this land was a big marketplace. In it were all kinds of curious little shops and stalls. All kinds of people sold spells. In some of the shops sat tall wizards, famous for their magic. In some of them were green-eyed witches, making spells as fast as they could. Outside in the marketplace there were all kinds of fairy folk at their stalls, pixies and gnomes and goblins and elves, all crying their wares at the top of their voices. Spell to make a crooked nose straight, cried one pixie, rattling a little yellow box in which there were lots of magic pills. Oh, spell to grow blue daffodils, cried a gnome, showing a bottle of blue juice. I've got a spell to make cats sing, cried another gnome. Joe could hardly believe his ears. How odd. Who would want to make cats sing? Now, we must just see if we can possibly find a spell to make you stand up straight, said Moonface, and he went into a little low shop where a strange goblin sat. The goblin had blue pointed ears and his eyes sparkled as if they had fireworks in them. I want a spell, said Moonface. What for? Asked the goblin. I've a spell for everything under the sun in my shop. Very powerful spells too, some of them. Would you like a spell to send you travelling straight to the moon? Oh, no, thank you, said Moonface at once. I know I look like the man in the moon, but, well, that's just my big round face, and I'm nothing at all to do with the moon, really. Well, would you like a spell to make you as tall as a giant? Asked the goblin, picking up a box and opening it. He showed Moonface a large blue pill box inside. Now, inside that you'll find a blue pill. Take that pill and you'll shoot up as high as a house. You'll feel fine, and it only costs 1 piece of gold. No, thank you, said Moonface. If I grow as big as that, well, I'd never get down through the hole in the cloud, back to the Faraway tree. And if I did, I'd never be able to get in at the door of my tree house, and I don't want silly spells like that. Silly, cried the goblin in a rage. You call my marvellous spells silly? Another word from you, stupid old round face, and I'll use a spell that will turn you into a big bouncing ball. Silky pulled Moonface out of the shop quickly. She was quite pale. Moonface, you know you shouldn't make these people angry, she whispered. You might find yourself turning into a bouncing ball or a black beetle or something if you're rude to them. Oh, for goodness sakes, let me ask for the spell we want. Look, here's a bigger shop with a nice-looking witch inside. They all went in. The witch was knitting socks from the green smoke that came from her fire. It was marvellous to watch her. Joe wished he wasn't upside down so that he could see her properly. Oh, good morning, said the witch. Do you want a spell? Oh, yes, please, said Silky in her most polite voice. We want a spell to make our friend Joe stand the right way up.
Oh, that's easy, said the witch, her green eyes looking in a very kindly way at poor Joe. I've only got to rub a walking spell onto the soles of his feet, and he will be all right. The walking spell will make his feet want to walk, and he will have to stand up the right way to walk on them, so he will be cured. Come here, young man.
Joe walked over to the witch on his hands. She took down a jar from a shelf and opened it. It was full of purple ointment. The witch rubbed some onto the soles of Joe's shoes.
Rimini, rimini, reet. Stand on your own 2 feet. The rimini, rimini, row the right way. You must go.
And of course, you can guess what happened. What do you think happened? That's it. Joe swung right over, stood up onto his 2 feet again, and there he was, as upright as Moonface and Silky. Wasn't he glad? And that is the end of that chapter. Ah, phew. So they're in the land of spells, and Joe's now the right way up. So they should all go home very, very quickly, and Joe should go home. Do you think that's what's going to happen? Do you think that whilst they're in the land of spells, they're going to be able to resist looking at anything else? What would you do if you were in the land of spells? What spell would you really like to buy? Would you like to have bought the spell that made cats sing? I wonder if there's anything else, if you'd like to find anything else that gave you any magical skills. Imagine one that made you so tall. Well, we'll find out what happens to them and if they manage to say no and do the right thing and go home, or if something else unfolds in the next chapter. Bye-bye.